2018 McLaren 720S Dissected, chassis, powertrain, styling, and more. McLaren marches to a speedy techno drumbeat. It's been only 6 years since the company's supercar-making automotive division launched its first product, the MP412C. McLaren gave that car what was essentially a heavy facelift, and a far less clunky name, just 3 years later, rechristening it the 650S. Now the mostly new 720S is here, based around a substantially advanced version of the 650S's carbon fiber tub and a turned-up to 11 twin-turbocharged V8 mounted amidships. McLaren, a brand we don't associate with hyperbole, claims on-track performance will make that of the 650S feel almost leisurely. Certainly looks that way. Chassis. McLaren has stuck with commendable adhesion to the plan it announced when it launched its road car division back in 2010. That is, to use the same core architecture to create a family of models graded thusly: entry-level, sports, mid-ranking, super, and extreme, ultimate series. The 720S Coupe is the first of the second-generation Super Series cars, and as such brings forth a new iteration of the company's carbon fiber tub. The so-called monocage 2 is more robust than the monocell of the 650S, incorporating an upper structure that integrates the windshield framework, the roof spar, B-pillar hoop, and buttresses. The upper A-pillars moldings are sufficiently well-finished that they don't need interior cladding. The roof spar includes attachments for the new wider-opening dihedral doors. The tub weighs 39 pounds less than the old monocell, with the car's overall weight falling to a claimed 2,829 pounds. Likewise, the suspension is evolved rather than reinvented. There are new control arms and knuckles, but the 720S keeps McLaren's hydraulically linked suspension that uses hydro-pneumatic units to control roll. The spring rates increase by 10% in the front and 20% in the rear, with harshness mitigated by a proactive chassis control 2 system that uses 21 sensors to tune ride and handling according to road conditions and the dynamic mode the car is in: comfort, sport, or track. The stability control now features a variable drift function to turn even modestly talented owners into full-auto driving gods. Powertrain. The power figure isn't quite as impressive as the 720S's name would have you believe, as it refers to metric horsepower, which is only 98.6% as strong as the American kind. In the US, we'll call the 720S's output a still heady 710 horsepower, accompanied by 568 pound-feet of peak torque. That comes from a concerted development of McLaren's twin-turbocharged V8, with an increase in displacement to 4.0 liters. New turbos, cylinder heads, and pistons plus a new crankshaft enabled the company to claim, with characteristic exactitude, that the engine is 41% new. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission gets revised software to shift even quicker. At lower speeds, the acceleration numbers aren't much better than those for the 650S, which was already operating at the outer edge of the traction envelope. McLaren claims a 2.8-second 60 mph time for the 720S, just a tenth quicker than its claim for the 650S. But as speed builds, so do the differences, with the 720S hitting 124 miles per hour, 200 kilometers per hour, in 7.8 seconds, 0.6 second quicker, and 186 miles per hour, 300 kilometers per hour, in just 21.4 seconds, a whopping 4 seconds. The claimed top speed is 212 miles per hour. Styling. The 720S looks stunning, but it also looks different, not just from the McLaren road cars that have preceded it, but also from pretty much every other mid-engine supercar. Here's why: there's no obvious intake behind the door. As soon as we set the aerodynamic targets for this car, we realized we could not use an intake there, says Heidenbaker, vehicle line director. That was the challenge from day one. The solution, as crafted by a team led by Robert Melville, McLaren's chief designer, is a particularly elegant one. Air flows to the engine and the radiators through a barely visible channel between the body side and the rear side glass. Other clever aero features include door-mounted blades to route air leaving the front diffuser, and small intakes underneath the headlamps for the heat exchangers in the car's nose. At the tail is a full-width wing that can deploy in just half a second. McLaren claims the 720S delivers 50% more downforce than the 650S, but with less drag when the wing is retracted, and a significant 15% improvement in cooling efficiency. The lack of a side intake serves to make the 720S look longer than its predecessor, but it barely is. At 178.9 inches, it stretches just 1.3 inches more than the 650S. The two cars' wheelbases, at 105.1 inches, are identical. Interior. The cabin feels more spacious than the 650S's, thanks in large part to how much easier it is to enter. As noted, the top hinge doors open wider than the old car's dihedral doors and the sills are narrower. Once you're inside, the slimmer carbon A-pillars dramatically improve forward visibility. Design details include a TFT instrument cluster that tucks down into the dashboard to reduce driver distraction when the car is in track mode, displaying only the speed, the selected gear, and a minimalist tack. Housekeeping. We'll have to wait until closer to the June on-sale date to confirm pricing. but the buzz from inside McLaren is that the 720S will cost around $285,000 in the unoptioned state that nobody is likely to buy it in. A Spider version will follow by 2019 and is certain to be the more popular choice. More than a whopping 80% of 650S sales in the US were of the open-topper, and even faster LT variant is also a certainty. Don't expect to wait long for that one, either, as McLaren's techno pulse throbs on the wing of love. Compared with its counterpart on the 650S, the 720S's deployable rear wing is a win-win-win. When extended, it contributes to a doubling of downforce over the 650S. Stowed, it reduces drag. But our favorite feature is the fact that the wing, and indeed, the whole car, appears to have been styled by someone with a sense of aesthetics.